My name is Takehiko Nagakura. So I'm at MIT and I teach visualization and modeling. And recently I am experimenting with VR and AR tools. And my research interest includes digital heritage area, where I take my students to some exotic places like Machu Picchu, and then we scan interesting objects, nature, natural forms, architecture, and then we develop some visualization prototypes. So this is one of the projects we are doing. It's an ongoing project. What I'm showing today are two models from Machu Picchu capturing. So on the floor there is this large model. If you look up a little bit, you see this scattered mesh up on the air. You're looking at a small model. We can actually look at the model more closely. I will try to do two things today. One is to talk a little bit about the technical side of how we made this and how we are trying to use this. And the other is Machu Picchu itself. And my intention is like this. So I have never done this virtual presentation. I've never have my Oculus and then try to explain things to people who are hundreds of miles away. So this is my big challenge, and I want to measure if I can convey what I think about this project. So that's my sort of personal target. So let me start with this model. So this model shows the area, central area of Machu Picchu where most of the visitors go. And Machu Picchu is, of course, in Peru. It's situated about 2,700 meters above the sea level. Go to Cusco first, usually from US, and then you take a train for about 3-4 hours. Train is actually running at the bottom of this river area here. So the river is going on like this. And then you take a bus to go up to Machu Picchu. So you see this zigzag road here. So I'm drawing on it. This is the bus ride. And it takes about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. It's a very sort of adventurous bus ride because you are in the bus and you look down and it's very, very steep. And then there is a small hotel there, actually. That's the only hotel by the entrance. And I think it costs like more than $1,000 to reserve a room there. Most people stay at the bottom of the valley where there is a small town. And then the Machu Picchu, which is showing in many guidebooks, is this area. So this area will be enlarged later up there in the other model. And particularly the area I'm showing is this location here. So Machu Picchu is talked about by many archaeologists, architects, historians, and no one really knows exactly what it was when it was made more than 400 years ago. But as you look at it today, as you go there today, there are two sort of major precincts. So the area here is supposed to be probably a quarter for people to live. And the area I just hatched here is where some kind of rituals took place. So there is a domestic quarter and ritualistic quarter. And I want to add a little bit more things. So you may actually see this thin line going up the mountain, going all the way like this. And then there's also another thin line going like this. This is so-called Inca Trail. So Inca people lived on this side of the South America, and they traveled from probably like Mexico down to Chile. And Peru is in the middle. And then the path was made for Inca people to move around at high ground. A little bit of experience you get is from Machu Picchu. If you visit there, you can go up to this top of the mountain here. And it's called Huayna Picchu instead of Machu Picchu. And then there are some remains of archaeological pieces also there. And it's about 1 hour to get up there, 1 hour to come back here. I'll show you one more famous occasion. So from Machu Picchu, there's also another trail going on the other side of the mountain like this. There's a very, very narrow walkway attached to this rock side. And then Inca people actually went back and forth on that trail. So this is part of the Inca Trail network. About in the middle here, there's a little bridge. And if I can just draw it here, there's one path here, and there's another path here. And then here is a little wooden bridge. And it was supposed to be a protection device. So enemy comes, and then you actually drop this wooden bridge so that enemy cannot actually cross over. I'm going to show you a small model, but before showing you the small model, I'll tell you a little bit about how we made this. So this big model, which we call mega model, is made by scanning through drone and a technology called photogrammetry. So photogrammetry is a method to make 3D models from photographs. Basically, photogrammetry requires many photographs. Just like if you have two eyes, you can see the depths in the space. And if you only have one eye, it's very difficult to get a sense of the depths unless you move around. If you have 100 eyes, you can get very good representation of the three-dimensional environment. So if you take a lot of photos from the air, you can make a model like this. It comes with texture because the model is based from the photographic reconstruction. So that's how we made this model, by flying the drones with a little camera and then process the photographs to make this model. Before I go to the small model, I'll try to do this. So I'm making the model bigger. So if you're around, you can start to get the sense of the size of the enormity of this thing, right? And if you are on the same side as I am right now, you see the river bed, and then you see Machu Picchu on top of the mountain. I'll make the model smaller. Now you start to see the little piece. So there is this hilltop area. And then at the foot here, there are some structures. The structures include 3 enclosures, 1, 2, and 3. And these are called a temple complex. From there, you can go around like this. So if you are a tourist, you are taking a guided tour this way to go on top of the hill here. And then you can traverse the hilltop and then reach this final destination. And if you get really close, there's a little stone here, which is called a sacred stone. So that's an experience of a visitor, typical visitor, if you visit there today. But I'm an architect, and when I experienced InsiteVR for the first time, we had a hackathon at MIT, and Russell's company helped us to implement a hackathon. He let us use this system. And what I was very much surprised, because I previously had this VR phobia. I didn't like headsets, and I didn't like kids playing games with headsets, especially. And I tried a few times, but I got very sick. But I was immediately surprised when I used this system. And one of the reasons was the ability to do this. This is something you can never do with a physical model. So as an architect, we make different models and different representations of the artifacts. This is a really interesting experience. You can scale objects interactively. So you can examine the model from the air, and then you can see the composition. And then gradually you can make it bigger and bigger to the degree you feel you are in the same space. So we are going to visit two spaces. One is this middle of the 3 temple complex. And then after that, I'm going to take you to this sacred stone area. So I'm going to teleport in there. And then I just learned from Russell how to take everybody there. So I will gather everybody around me, showing you a few things we prepared. So I'm getting closer to this little photograph, which we placed in there. And you can get close to look at the photograph. So this photograph is a photograph made by the expedition team of Yale University, led by a guy named Hiram Bingham. Bingham was supposed to be the discoverer of Machu Picchu from the Western world, because Machu Picchu was there for a long time, and after being abandoned by original settlers, some local people still was inhabiting in the space. And when Bingham went there about 100 years ago and found this place, he took a lot of photographs. And I have 3 or 4 photographs geolocated in this environment. So on the map, you see this stone here. You see me in the position of the person in the photograph. So the size of this from here to here is about 8 meters. That's 7.53. So there's one more photograph, similar photograph. So this is the second photograph. I'm sketching on it. You see the shape of this stone exactly the same today as previous shape. I heard some part of the structures collapsed because of some natural force and also earthquake, and some pieces have been restored. But more or less, the condition of all these structures remain the same as the time Bingham discovered this location. Only very big difference is that 100 years ago, there are a lot of vegetation covering this site. It was not as clean as you see today as a tourist. It was very much covered by lots of vegetation. On top of the hill, behind this temple, there's a hilltop. You can either follow me or teleport. So I guess you are behind me now. So we are on top of the hill. And the stone you see in the middle is that sacred stone. And I have one picture here also. And what you don't see in the virtual world, but you see in the picture, is the background here behind the stone, which is the mountain behind Machu Picchu. And this was in the big model we had, but in this small model, we don't have the background. So we see a clear sky behind the stone now. The background actually shows the portion where there was a bridge and a person fell off into the valley. So one challenge I found was the resolution of the model. So in a tour like this, you want to have a large geographic map or geographic 3D model that locates many things in a broader context. And then you want to have a smaller area for immersive explorations. And then eventually you want to have a stone like this piece, in a very high resolution representation. We have a model like this, which we didn't upload here. But for showing these different types of representation at different resolution, you will need to swap the model in and out. I hope in the future, we can do this with like 200 people in a lecture style. And I think it will really revolutionize the way people teach design. People teach locations, archaeology, history. I think it's going to become really, really an exciting change in our society.